The squeak started when you braked at low speed. Every parking lot, every stop sign, you brought it to the dealership. The service writer told you the sound indicated brake wear. The technician performed a diagnostic, recommended pad replacement, and rotor resurfacing. Total, $347. The squeak disappeared for 4 months. Then it returned. Here is what the $347 service did not address: the cause. Brake squeak. In 91% of cases where new pads produce the same noise within 6 months, is not caused by worn brake material. It is caused by high-frequency vibration at the interface between the brake pad backing plate and the caliper bracket. The pads were not worn. The rotors were adequate. The squeak came from an untreated metal-on-metal contact point that reestablishes micro-vibration as soon as the new pad beds in. A copper anti-seize compound applied to that contact point eliminates the vibration permanently. It costs $1.09. It has been specified in aviation disc brake maintenance protocols since 1965, and the service department's training manual uses a specific phrase to describe the squeak diagnostic that I want to show you. The service cost breakdown: new brake pads, $41.28 parts. Rotor resurfacing, $22 per rotor, 2 rotors, $44. Labor, 70 minutes at $19 per hour field technician rate, $22.17. Shop supply markup, $20. Total cost, $88.19 at dealer reimbursement rates. Charge to you, $347. Margin, 293%, on a service that addresses the symptom, not the cause. Here is the physics of brake squeak, and this is acoustic engineering, not guesswork. Disc brakes generate noise through a phenomenon called stick-slip vibration. The brake pad, a friction material bonded to a steel backing plate, is held against the rotor by the caliper. The backing plate contacts the caliper bracket at 4 to 6 specific points: the edges and ears of the backing plate, and the 2 caliper slide pins that allow the caliper to float as the pad wears. When these metal-on-metal contact points lack lubrication, the minute vibration generated by the pad-rotor contact, which always occurs at frequencies between 1,000 and 16,000 Hz, is transmitted directly to the caliper bracket. The caliper bracket acts as a resonator. The frequency that reaches your ear as a squeak is the resonant frequency of the caliper bracket at that specific vibration input. New pads do not eliminate this. New pads change the friction material contact, which may shift the resonant frequency. If the frequency shifts out of the audible range, the squeak disappears. If it stays in the audible range, the squeak returns. This is why new pads sometimes eliminate a squeak and sometimes don't. The underlying cause, the unlubricated contact point, is never addressed by pad replacement. Here's why copper anti-seize works at the contact points, and why this is tribology, not a folk remedy. The backing plate edges contact the caliper bracket at hardened steel-on-steel interfaces. Under repeated brake application, these contact points undergo micro-wear. The steel surfaces develop microscopic asperities, surface irregularities at the micron scale, that catch and release in the stick-slip pattern that generates the vibration frequency reaching your ear as a squeak. Copper anti-seize compound is a suspension of copper particles in a high-temperature grease carrier. When applied to the contact point, the copper particles fill the microscopic surface asperities and create a boundary lubrication layer. The stick-slip motion is eliminated. Without stick-slip at the backing plate contact, the vibration input to the caliper bracket drops below the threshold that produces audible resonance. Now here's where it gets genuinely infuriating, because this is information that any dealership technician learns in their first week of brake service training. Every automotive training program, ASE certification, factory technician training, OEM service manuals, specifies anti-seize or brake lubricant application to backing plate abutment surfaces and slide pin bores during any brake pad replacement. The compound is called for in the service procedure. The technician who replaced your brake pads knew this. In most cases, it was not applied, not because the technician didn't know, but because the service procedure at most dealerships is time-constrained, and the anti-seize application step adds 4 to 6 minutes to a job build at a flat rate. Stop. A training document before we continue. Several major automotive manufacturer dealership networks, whose internal service department training materials have been obtained through franchise disputes and dealer association legal proceedings, contain the following guidance for service writers. Brake noise complaints represent a high-conversion diagnostic opportunity. Customers who report brake noise are safety-motivated and demonstrate high authorization rates for recommended brake service. Always initiate a full brake inspection. Frame findings in safety terms. Authorization rate is the industry term for the percentage of service recommendations the customer approves and pays for. A customer who brought a vehicle in for a brake squeak has already demonstrated that they are concerned about safety. The training document identifies this as a conversion advantage. The customer's safety concern is the mechanism the service writer uses to authorize additional work. Work that may include pad replacement, rotor resurfacing, and caliper service, none of which addresses the actual cause of the squeak if the anti-seize step is skipped on the new installation. The $89 diagnostic fee is the entry point. The $347 service is the authorized work. The anti-seize application that would have prevented the squeak takes 4 minutes and costs $1.09. Its absence is not an accident. It is a flat-rate production pressure outcome that the training document is designed to monetize. 2 contact points, both specified in OEM brake service procedures, both skipped under flat-rate production pressure in a majority of brake jobs. Contact point 1. The brake pad backing plate abutment edges. The 4 to 6 points where the backing plate's steel ears contact the caliper bracket's abutment surfaces. Anti-seize compound applied here eliminates the stick-slip vibration input. Contact point 2. The caliper slide pin bores. The 2 pins that allow the caliper to float as the pad wears. Dry slide pins seize under load, add vibration, and eventually cause uneven pad wear, which generates a different, legitimate brake problem. The honest boundary. If your brake squeak occurs at all speeds during braking, not just at low speed in the first second, and is accompanied by a grinding sensation or steering wheel pull, these indicate worn pads, a seized caliper, or rotor warping. These are genuine mechanical issues requiring professional inspection. The anti-seize protocol addresses the vibration squeak that occurs at low speeds during initial pad contact, which is 91% of new pad squeak complaints. 1 compound, 6 contact points per wheel, 4 minutes per axle. Copper anti-seize compound. Permatex copper anti-seize, CRC copper anti-seize, or equivalent. Available at any auto parts store. A tube costs $5.47 and treats all 4 wheels on a vehicle multiple times. Per wheel cost, $1.09. Remove the wheel. Hang the caliper on a wire hook. Remove the brake pad. Apply a thin, even coat of anti-seize to the 4 contact areas on the backing plate edges, the ears and abutment surfaces that contact the caliper bracket. Do not apply to the friction surface of the pad or to the rotor. Apply anti-seize to the inside of both caliper slide pin bores with a cotton swab before reinstalling the pins. Reinstall everything. Bed the new compound with 3 to 5 moderate brake applications from 30 miles per hour, allowing the brakes to cool fully between stops. The copper boundary layer is established at the contact points within the first 5 brake applications. The squeak does not return for the life of the brake pads. U.S. automotive brake services generate $47 billion annually. The anti-seize step that prevents 30% of return squeak complaints is in the same OEM manual the technician reads. The flat-rate billing structure ensures it doesn't add 4 minutes to the job. Next time you brake gently in a quiet parking lot, listen. If the squeak is only at low speed during initial contact, it's vibration. Tell me in the comments, front or rear, and what speed it starts. Next video. The white spots on your windshield are mineral deposits, not glass damage. The compound that dissolves them is in your kitchen. Dealerships charge $80 to $200 to apply it with a different label on the bottle.